So Tyler Perry gives us a movie about an interracial relationship that was forbidden 40 years in worth of spam. And it was released on Netflix, and this he claims to be his first script that he ever wrote back in the 90s. Is it good? Let's talk about it. So it's Jazzman's Blues tells the story of two people in a relationship. Names are Bayou and Leanne. They are in a forbidden love, and family drama unravels 40 years of secrets and lies against the soundtrack of juke joint blues in the Deep South. What's going on, everyone? It's Joshua here. I talk movies, TV, music, and anime. If you guys like either one of those things, consider hitting that subscribe button so you won't miss anything I uploaded, whether it's a movie review, a TV review, a top 10, a ranking, live stream, anything. Also, all my social media links, so description boxes down below. It's my Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Snapchat, all that is down in the description box, as well as my Cash App and Amazon wish list, which is also in the description box. So if you guys want to send anything like fan mail, my address is down there as well. With that being said, let's talk about this. As I said, this was Tyler Perry's first script that he wrote back in '95, and now he's with Netflix finally getting the chance to do it. To say that this is, of course, a movie I was pretty interested in, because you have the story about interracial couples set with jazz, blues. But I was also a little concerned because there are a few times with Tyler Perry's movies where he can get a little too carried away in some of his writing. And while he's not the most amazing filmmaker out there, I do have a little bit of a guilty pleasure-ness to him towards his Medea movies. I didn't mind Medea Homecoming, even though I know there's a lot of problems in that. But with this, it was a little bit more personal. It was something different. And so, here is what I have to say about it. First big positive is, I have to say, the chemistry of the cast, of the two leads. You have Joshua Boone and Solea Pfeiffer as Bayou and Leanne, and their story and their interracial love and their chemistry is the main reason why I stayed invested throughout this 2-hour and 7-minute runtime. I think they both do a great job at what they do. They convey the romance, they convey the drama, and I was very much enthralled with this. And I very much like the way it was taking place in this Jim Crow era, like 1987, 1947 time periods, where you see these two, they first meet, they fall in love, but her parents forbids him from being with her, and they are torn apart. As of the time, the interracial relationships weren't really a thing just yet. And nowadays, we have it to where we can be in a relationship with someone who's white, or someone who's mixed, or Asian, or someone who's black for the other way around. So I do kind of renovate with the story a little bit, because I do want to one day be in a relationship with someone who's not my skin color.
We live in a society of laws!
Their stories are very well immersed and well fleshed out. You have Bayou, who has a song, becomes a song and dance station. He's very misunderstood. He gets picked on by people for his lack of intelligence or something. But he is just a kind-hearted, sweet person. He cares for his mom, he cares for his brother, he cares for his sister. And I thought his backstory and his development and growth throughout what ultimately becomes was great. And it's not very happy, but you do see the growth that he goes on. Then you have a relationship with Leanne having to be forced to marry another man and passing his rights. And so you do see some of the emotional conflict and the emotional turmoil with the people of the town and the both sides of the families, and their desire for each other is reunited. They want to escape together. They want to be left alone with each other, but dangerous secrets from their past destroys the relationship. And you get the romance, you get the danger, and you get the tragedy. And I do like the fact that Tyler Perry, as a directing standpoint, this is a departure from what he usually does. This was his first screenplay 25 years ago, and it has elements that would serve as his trademark. I like the more ambitious and fresh scales, and I did like what Tyler was going for here in his direction. We'll get into some of the writing a little bit later, but I will say the direction and the chemistry of those two leads sold me on this movie. Also, cinematography wise and just production design wise, it feels like you are in that era of time where an interracial relationship was not accepted just yet. You feel that, and I do think the way it goes about it is very well articulate. You can tell Netflix put a lot of money into this. It's not a lot of CGI. You can tell that this is real locations, real sets, and goes for it here. I definitely do have to give credit to Tyler for actually going through with that. As far as the rest of the cast goes, the cast is very good here as well with what they're giving. You have Amirah Vann as the Hattie Mae. You have Austin Scott, Ryan Eggold as a Ira, Milana Jackson, E. Roger Mitchell. The cast is very good here, but I was very impressed with the two leads, especially with Solea Pfeiffer, which this is her first big debut film, and I definitely would like to see more of her in the future. She's very good here. She conveys the emotions that are required, and you feel the love and the care for these two. Despite some of the subject matter being a little hard to come by, you do understand, you do relate to this. Whether you are in an interracial relationship or not, you can relate to a lot of the things that was going on in here. I think music wise, the songs that Terrence Blanchard doing the songs and producing the songs, and now you also have Aaron Zigman and the score. And for the most part, it is a well edited and well told story, and that is one of the things you do have to pay attention to when a drama or romance like this. If the romance isn't strong, how will you be able to care about it? And so for that, I definitely have to give credit to where credit is due. I definitely can say that it is actually pretty solid to have a movie like this. Granted, I don't think showing the drama of this, it was actually needed, because you do know what's going to happen at the end, of course, but it does go about it in a way that is presentable, and you do get this whole thing with subplots with him and his brother, and when they become rich and do jazz, and his brother's on drugs, and you do see how that takes a form of him. You also see how he and his dad feels. His dad's not in the movie as much, how he leaves them and their mom, and you also see how the brother feels about this relationship. That is not a good thing. How the sister feels that she's trying to help him stay out of it, his mom's trying to help them stay out of it, but the two star-crossed lovers are so in love with each other that they can't stay away from each other. It even revolves to a lot of the secrets that are revealed in this movie. And even though this does take place entirely in flashback, and you see how this will affect her and it will affect him and their families. And then also you have your usual with this type of story. You have this asshole guy who tells her, "You're not allowed to see this man. He's a different race than you." And then you have your usual characters like that, but it does make for a good enough watchable movie, despite the heavy subject matter of not having an interracial couple be accepted at times, and a lot of the stuff with the main girl, of course, in the character of Leanne here. You get into stuff like she was being assaulted by her grandfather, and how her mom left her to live with him, and how abusive he is. You get into some of that trauma, which is a little understandable, but you didn't need to show it. Going into the negatives of this movie, though, I will say that this is where I do feel like some of the writing here does usually become a little predictable because you do know where this is gonna go. You do know how this is going to end, with especially her, the only one being alive, and her child, of course, which I won't go into that. And you do have some stuff with the brother that is not very well interesting, despite how good the performance that actor is. The movie is also a little too long. It's 2 hours and 7 minutes. I will say there is one point where I did feel a little bored here, and certain things that they do show. I know this is back in that era where you couldn't be with someone who's not different race than you, so it definitely does paint the picture of that. There were quite a couple moments here where I feel like there were some overacting from a few of the rest of the actors. Not a whole lot, but just some overacting in here. Also, this is editing Joshua here. But at the time you see this video, this is just one last little nitpick I do have when it comes to a Jazzman's Blues. Even though I'm singing this movie's praises, I cannot stand the usage of a certain racial slur in this movie. Now, I've talked about this a few times in some of my other YouTube videos that I cannot stand that word, and I have gone on record that I don't really approve of that word. I know the main character is black. I know this is a movie that is in that type of era, and it's not overbearing as I expect it to be. It's just in a few scenes that they do use it where I don't think is really that needed. Now, granted, it's not like how it would sound a hip-hop movie. It just didn't need to be there. Other than that, that's all I really have to say as far as my negatives when it comes to this movie. Now let's get back to the actual video. If you are a fan of Netflix movies like this, or Tyler Perry, which I know the majority of you guys are not, or if you just want to see a romance movie about interracial romance, be warned, there is some subject matter here that is a little saddening, but nothing uncomfortable compared to stuff like Blind this week, which I'm not even gonna see. I do think the performance is strong. I think Tyler Perry, his heart was in the right place with this. Just a few character issues, a few writing issues, and a little overlong. I did enjoy what this movie provided. I did like the chemistry between the two characters, and this is a movie I would probably watch again on Netflix. Some issues, but if you know the type of movie you're gonna get into, I would say check it out on Netflix. I would give it a stream it. But again, if you're not a Tyler Perry fan, do not watch this movie. Well, that's gonna do it for this video. If you guys like what you see here, be sure to subscribe to my channel right here. I have plenty more content as far as movies, TV, and anime and music goes. I will also leave a playlist here and something here if you guys want to check out what I'm about. Join the Epictasticness, stay epitastic, and you guys keep it cool.